Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining. I know it takes everyone just a little bit of time. It takes myself a little bit of time to get organized to start this thing. So I'm excited. We have Chris with us, back with us. Chris, you're a staple here. This is wonderful. So, and Chris, he has a great session for you today, and something I'm actually quite looking forward to myself about MCP servers. And yeah, you've been playing with this stuff for a while, right, Chris? Maybe you can give a little
Yeah,
background on not
yeah,
like
yeah,
what you're going to do, but like why? Why do you care about this stuff? I mean, why is this cool to you? I think it's
yeah.
super cool.
So it actually comes close to my background. Just for what I've been doing for a long time is playing with APIs, right? So even in my job before I joined ControlUp, we made a whole product around easier consumption of APIs with a small GUI and stuff, and connecting stuff together. I just always love being able to connect stuff together. And MCP servers is just the next evolution of that. It's connecting stuff together on an AI level, so that makes me very enthusiastic. It's like an LLM just talks, but if it has access to real data, then it becomes smarter. And these and the funny thing is, these most of these MCP servers are just wrapped around the existing APIs that are already there. So it's just a way for a AI to use an API, and that opens up a lot. So yes, that gets me very excited, and yeah, and I hope you guys too. And I hope you guys, after this demonstration and talk that we're gonna have, want to use your own AI systems with the ControlUp MCP, right? To build some cool stuff, because there's a lot possible there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've always said you give a man a compiler or a woman a compiler, they can change the world. And now we have MCPs, right? So it's like it's insane. It's insane. No longer just guessing or if thens. We get some intelligent logic there. It's just beautiful, beautiful, and it's secure too. So, hey, we've although that was great. Let's get this thing going. Sound good? So I have no slides for you today. As always, or I do have my spiel, I should probably say. If you have questions, please ask them. Chris has a lot of time left for you to ask questions. So if you want to see something, if you have anything at all, please use the Q&A piece down below. I'll monitor those. Chris will monitor those, and we'll show you to you. Right, answer it or show it. We do also have a very hard stop at the top of the hour. Chris has to be somewhere else, so we will respect Chris's time and just drop. So I'll say thanks in advance if we get to that point. What else? We do these things monthly. I'm still working on closing up the dates for the next month, so stay tuned. We'll post those in the community or on the community.com site. So I can ramble all day. Thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoy this. I personally am really looking forward to it. So, Chris, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, like I said, I think I prepared like maybe 30 to 45 minutes of content, and we have a full hour, so I hope I leave enough time for questions or a quicker session. We'll see, right? But I hope you guys have questions. Like Doc said, we have the Q&A open, we have the chat open, all good. So I'm gonna show. I'm gonna start with some slides. Those slides are out of a big slide deck that we did. So we did it this year at the E2E. So the E2E is an expert to expert conference where a lot of IT experts come. It's in Europe mostly. And during this event, one day before the event, ControlUp did an AI masterclass. So the slides that you're gonna see are from the masterclass deck. The deck itself was for 8 hours of content, so we're just gonna pick and choose some slides from this. But if needed, there are some slides that go into deeper subjects. So if there are questions, we can choose to go to other slides and figure some stuff out together. So let me make sure that my screen is correct. I have the Q&A open, but Doc will monitor that. And let me make sure now that I'm sharing. Give me 1 second that I have the... Okay, I cannot see the chat anymore of Zoom. But if there is something in the chat, Doc, please let me know. And
I
at
will
all
definitely
times,
interrupt you.
Yeah. Feel free to interrupt. I'd rather have someone just interrupt with the question, then we skip the question. So yeah, so
I can
quickly,
totally do that, just like I'm doing now. I can totally do that. Okay, that
yes.
was just a trial. Okay, please continue.
We are good. So yeah, so for everyone that doesn't know, I'm Chris Twiest. I'm the Solution Innovation Manager. I work in the office of the CTO at ControlUp. I'm with ControlUp now for like 1.5 years, I believe, and I live in the Netherlands. So let's go. So some quick stuff around AI and why it matters to ControlUp. So these will be like more of the marketing slides before we go into the deep. Stay with me. There aren't much of them. It's just to give a little bit of the vision around AI for ControlUp. So our vision is eventually where the digital workspace runs itself. So it's what we're calling the EUC evolution. So for years it was like we started out with monitoring VDIs on uptime and CPU performance and stuff, and then that transformed to a DEX, the digital employee experience, where we monitor not only the VDI but also the laptop and the connection in between and your Teams call, and we have user sentiment and we have compliance and we're doing everything under the DEX. And that is now transforming to autonomous endpoint management. So yeah, so we have all this data. So the next step is, if you see something wrong in the data, go fix it. So that's our next chapter for ControlUp. And that is why we acquired an AI company at the start of this year. And we are hard at work on a lot of AI initiatives, including one where literally you can type like, oh, my audio isn't working, and an AI will scan your computer and fix it if it can, right? So we actually did a demonstration during the E2E that we demoed that in the hardware info of a machine that we hard disabled the webcam. And then we did a demo with this AI, autonomous AI, and someone in the audience, because the E2E, it's usually very loud and everyone's laughing and stuff, but someone in the audience said, because we were prompting, we wanted to prompt teams, or we wanted to prompt our autonomous endpoint manager. We wanted to prompt like, oh, my webcam isn't working in Teams. But someone in the audience yelled, no, type Teams is shit again. And we just typed that and it fixed it. It still did find out that the webcam was disabled and it fixed it. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, so let's skip a bit of this. I want to get to this part. Yeah, so with ControlUp, as you also know, we have an AI assistant now built in. It is an LLM. It has access to all your data throughout MCP tools, what we're going to talk about today. So yeah, we're making that smarter and smarter every day. It gets access to more and more data, and it allows you to do a lot. ControlUp Connect is the part that is allowing you to do the autonomous remediation, like the example that I said, that it can fix Teams for you. And we have anomaly detection, and these days that's even transformed into, we're building insights where we are scanning your environment every night and find anomalies like, oh, your normal baseline for performance or application crashes or whatever, what's deviating, and then already trying to dig in your data, meaning like, so an insight can be Chrome is crashing after not an update of Chrome, but after an update of an Intel driver, right? So those correlations that we as humans find difficult to make, where it's like, oh, did we update Chrome? No, we didn't. And then figuring out, okay, what else can it be? The AI can just very easily figure out like, oh yeah, but you know, this changed on all your devices when the crash came. So that's what we're doing with anomaly detection and insights, which is coming very soon to everyone. It's in the design phase, partner phase. So yeah. Okay, so that was most of the marketing stuff done. We're now going to go into the meat of the webinar, which is AI. So just to make sure that everyone here is on the same level when it comes to AI terms, I have a little bit of an AI cheat sheet that I want to go over with you guys, so that when I say LLM, that everyone knows what an LLM is. AI is still all relatively new, right? So it isn't bad if you don't know the exact terms, right? There are terms in here that I also had to learn Not that long ago, like for example, I just learned it a couple months ago. A lot is new. So some core concepts, right? LLM. LLM is an AI model that understands and generates language. So a lot of people think that an LLM can think. It doesn't think, right? We haven't mastered real intelligence yet. We don't have a computer in a box that can really think. We have an LLM, which is a large language model, which is just really, really good at predicting the next word that it should say, because it's trained on all the data on the internet, which is a lot of text. And those large language models just understand what you're saying and can give it back, answers back to you. It does that with tokens. So let me, oh, by the way, I can't see the chat now. I'm not sure. Oh, are there some sound issues, Doc? Can you hear me correctly?
I was just going to reply in chat. I don't have any issues. No. So Alexander,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Other
great
people
here.
say they okay, good. So a token, we were at the token. A token is a small unit of text that a model processes. Usually it's around like 8 characters, but this can differ per LLM. So when you type a message to a LLM, it's split up into tokens, and those tokens, that it takes that information, and that's how it works. So it's like bits that a computer work with. Tokens is also the thing that you pay for. So most AI models have a billing per token. So this means that you pay of how much data you send and how much data it gets back. So it's also split up. So you have input and output tokens. So just so you know, input tokens are way cheaper than output tokens. So how much you send to an LLM isn't that much. Is cheaper than how much the LLM is sending back. But and this is the thing. Usually, you send a lot more data to the LLM than it gives back. So you might think when you're chatting with ChatGPT or with Claude or whatever, you might think that you're only sending your message, right, to the LLM. You're not. There is also a part which is called the system prompt. We'll go over that a little bit, but yeah, we're already at the prompt stage, so let's go over that. Wait, why did it move? Okay, so let's talk about prompt and the difference between a prompt and a system prompt and all that stuff, and prompt engineering. I want to specify those out. So a prompt is your input to the AI. So you have your text box, you type, that's your prompt. Prompt engine, when you hear someone talk about prompt engineering, it's just making the best prompt possible. So for example, if we take our own Ask AI and I just type into it like, so for example, I have a user ticket and the user ticket says my laptop is slow. So if I just go to the Ask AI in ControlUp and I say like laptop is slow, well, you might have 100,000 laptops connected to ControlUp. So how does the LLM know which laptop is slow, right? So you're making it very difficult. So prompt engineering is writing the correct prompt. So that can be, this user had a ticket that their laptop was slow on this date while they were doing this, and this. So more information you can give the AI, the better it can look for the correct data and start correlating and start finding out what's wrong. So that's called prompt engineering. Then there is something else which you will hear a lot. It's called the system prompt. So each AI that there is in the world has been configured with a system prompt. And a system prompt is something that is sent to the LLM each time you chat with it. You don't see it. It's hidden from you. But each time you chat with it, it's sent alongside. And a system prompt can have a lot of stuff. So for example, a really good example is an LLM has no concept of time or date. An LLM is trained in a laboratorium, right? In a data center, they're training the LLM. So that's done by Claude and OpenAI and all the stuff. They're training this large language model. on how to best autocorrect and stuff. But it's trained on data that it has, so the whole internet. But at that, when that model is trained, it's done, right? So it doesn't have a concept of space, time, dates. It has on the training data, so it can tell you like, when did the America start existing, right? 250 years ago. It will tell you that. But if you ask if you connect to an LLM and you just ask it, what time is it today? Or what time is it and what date? It will not know by itself. It will need to use something to inject it to it. So most AI systems in the system prompt, they actually take the time. So in the system prompt, there will be a small script that says, okay, look at the time of the computer the user is on, or look on the time online or whatever. Give that time and put it in the system prompt so that if you're sending a message to the AI, the system prompt, the hidden prompt that you don't see, also includes the time. So that if you ask about a date or a time, it knows it. And this is quite funny because I have been working on a new project within ControlUp that I hope to be talking about soon in a couple of weeks. But I've been working on programming my own, or for the company, an own AI chatbot, a new thing. And I didn't add this date and time. So I asked it like, oh, investigate app crashes. And it was like, oh, there are no app crashes. And I'm like, there are. And then he said like, no, on January 1 of 2026, there are no app crashes. And that's because we save 60 days of data. So it went past our data retention. So there are no app crashes. So I had to, in the system prompt, make sure to first get the date and send that each time to the AI. And there is a lot more in there. So as you might know with Ask AI, if you ask a question around something that's not technical, so for example, give me a good spaghetti recipe, it will tell you, I cannot do that. I'm a ControlUp AI, I'm technical and stuff. Those rules are also in that system prompt. So each time you're doing this, you're typing something in that system prompt, it says, I am a technical AI. I won't do anything else than technical stuff, right? So don't a recipe or whatever. So the system prompt is really important. And talking about those tokens, a system prompt might be 50,000 letters already that you're sending, just with all the rules, all the explanations, the tone of the AI, what it's allowed to do, how it can use MCP servers, how application crashes should be measured, all this thing you can put in a system prompt, or these days also in skill files, which then you can teach the system prompt that if he needs more information, it can look into a skill. But yeah, so again, when talking about tokens, input tokens are way cheaper. Output tokens are more expensive, but you're doing a lot of input tokens because that system prompt is sent each time. You might also know when you're using stuff like ChatGPT that the system prompt that it's sending gets amended with some memory about you. So if you've been, for example, so a while back, I was spitballing a bit with ChatGPT for a Christmas present for my wife. And I told her ChatGPT a bit about my wife and stuff. And then months later, I was talking about something else. And he said like, oh, you can also ask Martin, the name of my wife. And I was like, wait, how do you know that that's my wife's name? It's because in that chat that we did about presents, I told him my wife's name and stuff. And then it amended my system prompt with a bit of memory. And each time I'm now chatting to ChatGPT, it will tell the LLM, hey, Chris sent you another message. His wife is this name. He's doing that job. This is the kind of guy he is, and all that stuff too. So again, those input tokens are getting a lot. So you can easily, like if you are getting a little bit of data and doing a little bit of prompts and stuff, you can easily go over 1 million input tokens very fast. So yeah, the context window is how much the AI can remember. Like I said, you have the system prompt, you have a bit of memory, you have skills, you have data that you're getting in from MSP. Everything has to fit into that window that you're sending together with your own message. So And developer can limit how much data you can have in the window, in the context window. So that's a way of making sure that you're not getting too expensive. So I don't know if you ever seen Claude do it, that it will compact your conversation, because most AIs will just, all the messages that you had in a conversation, just keep sending that as input tokens too. So it knows the context of the conversation that you're having. So that fills up the context window pretty quick. So you will see stuff like compacting, where it's just like, okay, I'm going to summarize everything that we're doing, and I'm going to send a summary now, so the context window doesn't overflow. So that's the core, some core concepts. I know we're going a little bit deep, but that's the idea of this. So let's talk about the making AI useful. So MCP are tools that the AI can use to gather real-time data. An LLM, again, doesn't know anything, right? It can, if you want to know what the weather is going to be tomorrow, it has no ID, because it first of all, it cannot think, but secondly, the LLM has been trained on data, and after that, the model goes live, and then it doesn't get fed new information. The LLM itself does not know which weather it is tomorrow, but the LLM does know that it can call to an API within an MCP tool, so a weather MCP tool, and then ask the API like, hey, what kind of weather is going to be tomorrow? And then that API will gather throughout the MCP tool the information back to the LLM, and then the LLM can answer very smartly, this is the weather tomorrow. So I hope this makes a little bit of sense of how it's going. So you do have a different way of also of doing that is with a RAG. A RAG is your AI with your own data set. So, and a good example of this is that our Ask AI has a RAG of the whole knowledge base of ControlUp. So it's an extra database that you can feed your AIs. APIs, well, we've talked about, right? An API is just an API call. It's over internet. It's how the internet works without the GUI, right? On the back end, it's all API calls. It's all just systems talking to each other. Tool calling is what we're calling when the LLM decides which MCP tool to call, to use. Tool calling. Then we have a bit of intelligent behavior. So we have, for example, an agent. An agent can make decisions and act. So, and how does it do that? By gathering data from an MCP. So you can make an agent that will say like, oh, monitor app crashes for me. And if it gets above a certain threshold, message me on Teams. So, and at that point, it will need an MCP tool to gather the crashes, an MCP tool to message you on Teams, and you can bind that all together in an agent. A copilot is more of an assistant. Well, hallucination, I think everyone kind of knows what a hallucination is, but hallucinations are also caused often because the context window is full. So imagine your AI has a limited context window. It's sending that system prompt, it's sending the memory, and then it does an MCP call to gather a lot of data. So for example, it gets of 100,000 laptops, each laptop's name, OS, CPU and stuff. That is so much data that the context window will overflow. And at that point, it can start hallucinating. So it can be like, oh, the LLM has been told that it gets 100,000 laptop names, but it actually, the context window overflew after 10,000 laptop names. So if you then ask it like, okay, what's the name of laptop 10,001? It will hallucinate because it didn't get that information, although it did say that it should get that information. There are, of course, ways around this. You can change the system prompt that you really have hard-coded in there, like, don't make up data, don't hallucinate, just tell that you don't know something. And that tell that you don't know something is really difficult for an AI because it's been trained on positive behavior. So it's been trained on giving an answer, then we were like, oh, you gave an answer, that's good. So it rather hallucinates than tell you that it cannot do something. Yeah, prompt engineering we talked a bit about. So all that being said, are there questions for now before we dive a little bit deeper in this stuff? If you have any questions, feel free because it is This is a lot, right? So in the meantime, I'm going to scroll to the next slide. I want to talk a bit about. Maybe Doug, do you have any questions or anything you want to add?
No, I think it's great. Great. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So one thing I want to quickly point out is training versus tools. So how AI really uses your data. So a question that some people might have is, well, I'm using Ask AI inside of ControlUp and I'm talking about it and it knows all my laptop's names and it knows all the performance stuff and it knows everything, every location, and it knows everything about me. How is that possible? Are you training an LLM on our data? Well, the answer is no, because that training an LLM costs a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's only like big companies like Claude, OpenAI, so Anthropic, OpenAI, DeepSeek. Those are the guys that are doing the training for the model, using the big GPUs of NVIDIA and stuff to train these models. But how do we make sure that the models then know your data? Well, they don't. They just have access to these MCP tools. So when these MCP tools can do API calls to your data. So they're not trained on your data. They're just trained to know how to gather data and then to interpret that data. But they don't have access. They're not trained on your data. So they do have access to your data because of the MCP server, but they're not trained on your data. And the nice thing is when you're sending a message to Anthropic and stuff, you can filter out the device name. So everything that we are sending to Anthropic, because we're using the Anthropic models, we're using Sonnet, for example, it's all done throughout an AI, we tell like a foundry that we have in Azure. So every message first goes to there. It's stripped of device names, that kind of stuff. It's stripped of location, anything identifiable. We've also opted out on Claude using anything that we send to them for their training. So yeah, so we make it safe, but we do use the data, right? It's just like doing an API call, but we do it in the same Azure environment as where your data already lives. So, so I hope that is clear. Yeah, so we talked about training. So there is one thing that we actually, one thing we actually need to learn the AI. So here it says train in parentheses because it's not really training, it's learning the AI. We need to learn the AI what to do with that data. So the LLM has an MCP server for ControlUp. It can get your performance data, but then what, right? How does it know, the LLM know where to look in ControlUp for the correct data and how to interpret that data? That part, we do need to learn the AI. We don't train it, we learn it, but we do that with the system prompt. So that system prompt that every time you're sending, that already tells, hey, if you're looking for crash data in ControlUp, look at these indexes, look at these metrics. If you want to know stuff about Windows event log, this is how ControlUp has the Windows event log, and this is how you can access it, and this is how you can query it, and this is how you should interpret the data. So that is something we do need to learn it, and we learn that by making rules in the system prompt. If you don't do that, you can get weird responses, or the Ask AI can have wrong answers. So anytime you also, so I don't know if you've seen that we have these feedback buttons under the AI, please use them, because every time you use it, it doesn't automatically learn our AI something, but we have this program, it's called length views, where we can see like how many times it was correct or when it was wrong and that kind of stuff. And if we see, for example, that it was wrong a couple of times on a certain question, we can change the system prompt to answer that question better. So or the MCP tools, but we can change it like, oh, look in these indexes for that answer. So feedback is really important in this part. So yeah, so those are like I think what's maybe fun is showing you guys a little bit of technical stuff, just a little bit. So yeah, so this is the way that an LLM and an MCP tool and an API and a user work together. So just to make it a little bit more clear, the user asks, "What's the weather in Tokyo?" Then to the LLM gets the system prompt, all the tools it has access to. So does it have access to a weather tool? And what the user typed, which is what's the weather in Tokyo. Then the LLM looks into the tool definitions and sees like, oh, I have a weather tool. So let's call the weather tool. The weather tool does an API call to the weather API. It gets the data around, hey, what's going to be the weather in Tokyo? And it will send then the original context plus the tool call plus the tool result back to the LLM. That will transform it into a nice message, and you will see that message back, and the user will see, here's the weather in Tokyo. So this is the way that that system works together. A little bit of, this is, for example, part of our system prompt. So our system prompt says you're a ControlUp assistant. When processing requests, these are like your cognitive style, how you should do. And we enrich this with user data. So like I said, we feed it with time, but we also feed it with, when you talk to it, the system prompt is fed with, who are you? What's your username? For which organization do you work? What time and date is it, like I already said? So that the AI knows who you are, it knows which organization you are, and it knows the date and time. That was talking about doing this, how we are doing this, but the nice thing is you can do this. So that's what we're gonna demonstrate now, right? We have made these MCP tools for ControlUp that can gather data to an LLM. We've made them public. Anyone can use them. If you're a customer of ControlUp and you have an API key, you can use it with your own AI. And I'm gonna demonstrate how to build it. So I completely deleted the MCP servers from ControlUp from my Claude. So I'm starting up Claude and it will be completely new. And I'm just going to go over every step I need to do to make this work. So before we dive into the hands-on part, Doc, any questions or anything you want to add?
No, this is great, Chris. No questions. Well, we do have it. Is recording of this session available? It will be available. I'll post it either later tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, we are definitely recording.
Okay. Yeah, we are. Okay, so we have a knowledge base article on ControlUp MCP Server, and this tells you how to set it up. From this knowledge base article, we will need this piece. So what else do you need? You need an LLM that accepts MCP servers. One of the most used one and the easiest to use one is Claude. So we're gonna use Claude in this demonstration. And you will need Node.js. So an MCP server will actually run on your own system, which will just get a copy of the latest one from ControlUp, and then Node.js will start it up as a process that the LLM on your machine can use. Then you need an API key and an org ID, but we'll go over that. So I'm starting up Claude. Just imagine it's a fully new Claude. We haven't used anything on this yet. And yeah, so it says like, okay, good evening, how can I help you? So currently, if I type in something around ControlUp, it will not have any ID. So if I say like, how many app crashes did I have yesterday on all my devices? Because it's my Claude and I have been talking a lot with Claude already, it might want to say like, it might come back with something like, I'm missing the MCP servers, Chris, because I had them in a previous chat, but yeah, it doesn't have access to them now. So we'll see what it comes back to. So it says, okay, I don't have live access to ControlUp telemetry, and it's telling me like you had tools that could do that because I deleted them for this demonstration. So okay, that's cool. So let's start a new chat. But as you could see, it didn't know anything about the app crashes. So how do we connect? So first of all, I said, right, we have to have Node.js installed. So please make sure you install Node.js. Everything else I'm going to do, by the way, is also on our official YouTube channel. I'm doing there almost the same demonstrations I'm going to do. We're going to go into Claude settings. It's also in if you use Windows, there's also a settings button. Go into settings, we're going to go to developer, and here we need to edit config. This edit config will open up a folder with your Claude Desktop config that you can open. It's a JSON. Above it, by the way, you see my old one where I did have all the tools already. And then in here, we're going to take this JSON and we're going to paste it inside this JSON. The only thing we need to add is MCP Server. So that it knows that the next part that we're going to talk about is about MCP servers, and we need a comma behind it. So I now have the MCP server, and now we need an API key and an org ID. So how do we create that? If you go into ControlUp, and we're going to go to API key management, we can create a new key, test. I'll make it for 1 day for this demonstration, and I'll delete it after the webinar. I have an API key here. We're going to paste that here, and then we need an org ID, and that's on top here. So I have this org ID. I put it in here. Now I need to save this file, and all I need to do is restart Claude. Because I'm totally stopping Claude and I'm restarting it. And now if we go into settings again, and we go into developer, it says, yes, you're running a ControlUp and local MCP server. So what it did, Node.js took the code that's online and runs a server locally on your machine that the LLM can access. So now what I can do is I can say, one of the good things to always do when you're starting out, again, the LLM doesn't really understand yet that it has access to these tools, right? It gets the list now, but it doesn't know what to do with it. So one thing to always start with, and which is really good, is always be like, scan the ControlUp MCP tools. So now it will connect to those MCP tools that we have and the local MCP server that we're running. And it will scan everything, all the descriptions of all the tools that are in there. So the MCP server can have multiple tools in there. There are tools in there for desktop, VDI, compliance, anything. It says it found 106 tools. So yeah, so that's a lot in six different main tools. So it's all split up in the MCP server. It's cataloging them, it's looking at them. And then when it knows, so here, yeah, it says like, okay, I found compliancy, I found ControlUp for desktop, I found platform organization, I found synthetic monitoring, I found VDI. So it now has an ID of which tools there are and when to call which tools. So this is pretty good. So if we now do the same question again, how many app crashes did I have yesterday in ControlUp for desktops? Now it knows that it has a tool from ControlUp for desktop, and the tool is actually called Get App Crashes. So it should be pretty clear to the LLM to use that. So let's see, it's doing tool finding. So it's finding tools that are doing stuff with application crashes. And by the way, so now this full content of this JSON is going to be sent to the LLM. So that's what I mean. You're sending a lot of input tokens. But yeah, it found it. It found the right tool, the app crash tool. And it says you had 1,125 app crashes on your fleet yesterday. 506 were around core agents, AOT listeners, anything. And the cool thing is, because this is now AI and Claude is pretty smart, the cool thing is that you can visualize this in any way you want. So can you make me a graph visualization of the app crashes and compare them to a 14-day baseline. So I want the baseline, and now we can do. And a very cool thing is that you can go fully crazy with this. You can combine this with MCP servers of Microsoft, of Citrix, of whatever, and get all this data into one place and make your own HTML report every day, make a clickable whatever UI you need for this, right? It can do anything you want. So in the meantime, while this is running, I do see we have some questions, so let's get into them. So let's see. We are an MSP and have several customers. Could you please tell me what the correct setup will be? Define all the MCP servers in Courage file, anything I should know? Yeah, so each MCP server does require its own its own API key. So that would mean that in the JSON, you would just make multiple MCP servers. So you would make an MCP server customer A with so if you go back into the JSON, you can just, this is the name of the MCP server. So you can just amend it with customer 1 and type it in. The nice thing is that Claude is always pretty smart when it comes to these type of stuff. So Claude will know that if you're then like, okay, get me the application crashes of this customer, it's smart enough to know that it gets the right one. So this is, by the way, here we have a good thing going on. I'll jump into this soon. Let's go to the other question really quick. The tools included are more than just read. I think I saw destructive tools in that response. Yes, so we do have some tools to, for example, add an admin to ControlUp. So that's always something you have to really think about. Do you want to do that and stuff? But the MCP server does adhere to your API keys RBAC, because it uses your API key that you generated. So if your API key doesn't have access to create an admin or whatever, the AI can never create an admin because it's bound by what your API key can do. So I hope that that's more clear. But there are some rights indeed to tools that can write. So it's up to you to use that in the right way. So let's see what it did here in the meantime. I put the daily up crash trend. Okay, the raw index gave an error. So it says, okay, I found 52 versus for yesterday from built-in AppDX errors. And this is the fun thing. Built-in AppDX errors is actually an index that has web app allocation errors. That is from our product ControlUp for apps. So now the AI is confusing app errors with desktop errors. So it's saying like, oh, all the numbers are mismatching. This seems to be web browser request. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to visualize it and stuff. This is because it's missing the context of the system prompt. So the system prompt is where you would normally say like, oh, if you're looking for app crashes when it comes to SaaS applications, find it in this. If you're looking for desktop, go to the Win event log. And that's the fun thing. So the AI itself is pretty dumb now, right? Because it's just an LLM. It hasn't been trained on the data. It doesn't know how to interpret it. It just got, it's a child with scissors, right? It got the scissors, and now what do I need to do? So the thing is it's gonna try go back to the application crashes, which is the right way to do. This stuff you need to teach the LLM. So if you are making your own LLM, you have to make a system prompt, and you have to teach it that it uses this and that it's not gonna get distracted by other information it might find. So to help you guys a little bit away, I actually made a ControlUp MCP system prompt. So I made this system prompt file that kind of explains a lot already to the AI. And as you can see, it's many rows of it has to do how it has to handle time, proactive checks, custom queries, how we record blue screens of death, how we record app freezes, all that kind of stuff is in here. So I'll share with you guys the system prompt, and we can also see the difference in response between sending the correct system prompt or just letting the AI guess. So we'll let this one finish, and then we'll start up a new one. In the meantime, I'll answer more questions. Do you offer a streamable HTTP version for self-hosting? Yeah, so you can just do that. Well, right, you can. So the MCP tool lives online, and you make an own copy on your machine. So the MCP server is now running on my machine. You can just tell Claude like, oh, make one that I can share and put on a web server somewhere. You can actually do that. That isn't that hard to do. So you can make your own MCP server, a copy of our MCP server on your own web server and put that somewhere in the company that everyone can reach it. You can put your own LLM and your own system prompt in it, and more people in the company can use it. So, hey, it took a long while. So yeah, the thing is, there is a public. The MCP server itself is fully public, so it has access to all the files already. So if you tell Claude make a copy, it will read it and it will copy it. It's not like in a repo or anything because all the files are just public already. To answer your question, but yeah, so you see, Claude is pretty good at visualizing stuff. So it took now the app crashes and it visualizes it and it finds out what it's doing. It's giving me a bit of an anomaly detection and that kind of cool stuff. So, but you saw it took pretty long because it got distracted by going into SaaS application errors and stuff. But in the end, we did get there and we got a nice visualization. And again, you can amend it with all kinds of MCP servers. If you put a weather MCP server in there, an internet MCP server, one that I can recommend highly is sequential thinking. That's an MCP server that trains your AI to have thought or to work something out, then take the output and think about it again and again and again. That will allow you, for example, let's say you have a Citrix environment that you want to upgrade. Then with the MCP tool of ControlUp, you can get all the information about your whole Citrix environment. How many brokers do you have? How many storefronts? What version are they on? Everything. And then tell sequential thinking to use that data to make an upgrade plan and output it as a PDF. And sequential thinking will keep prompting the AI. Okay, now we did step 1. What's step 2? What's step 3? And putting it all together. It's amazing. Sequential thinking is a good MCP. It's free. You can just add it. So this was a chat window that doesn't have that much context. Can it also take actions like triggering script? I think one of our MCP tools can. I don't know if it already can trigger scripts. I know that we're busy with that. There is a possibility with the workflow MCP can trigger workflows which can have scripts in them. But we are expanding this. And then again, right, it can only trigger scripts if the API key that you fed it is allowed to trigger scripts. I do want to point that out. So we're going to start a new chat, but this time I am going to put in my system prompt. So now it knows everything about ControlUp, 200 lines about ControlUp. And now I'm going to ask, check application crashes of today, make a 14-day baseline and visualize the output. And now because it's fully reading this system prompt, so except like now I'm not sending just one line, I'm actually sending 202 lines plus everything that Claude already is sending, like the memory and the system prompt of Claude itself, right? Because Claude has a system prompt. And it feeded my system prompt on top of that, plus my own prompt. And you will see that it's a lot faster now, that it won't get distracted by SaaS application crashes because this prompt is telling it how to get it. So while that's running, let me see. Citrix has specifically been mentioned a few times. What about scenario and integration? Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah, right. You can. It doesn't matter if you want to upgrade plan for Citrix servers or VMware or Windows 365 or Azure Virtual Desktop. This works with everything. That as long as ControlUp is monitoring it, you can ask questions about it. So we actually have machines, Azure Virtual Desktop machines in this environment I'm querying. So I could just now ask a question about only those machines. I can tell Claude, look for the machines that are at your virtual desktops, and to ask it anything about it. It doesn't have to be specific Citrix. It was just a general example. It can also be make a plan for my fleet to upgrade to the latest version of Windows 11. And then it will just get all the data around your laptops, and it will make a whole plan for you. It's whenever you want to make a plan and you need data, this is a great way because it can get real data. So it's not, if you ask an AI without the data, like give me an upgrade plan to Windows 11, it will just say, okay, do this, this, and this because I found it on the internet. If you have an MCP server connected, it can say like, oh, you have 100 laptops still on Windows 10, and I'm checking those laptops now, and I see 50 of them are compatible with Windows 11. So this is what I would do. I would take these 50 and upgrade them like this, this, this. And so yeah, it's feeding the data, and it's making your plans way more better. You saw, by the way, it's now way faster because it got the system prompt. It didn't get distracted, and now we still got the same nice output with the visualization. Looks amazing. And it comes into, do you want to drill deeper into this? And that's the cool thing, right? Where Ask AI is currently using, for example, Sonnet, your AI, you can use whatever you want. So if you're like, oh no, let's crank it up all the way to Fable, right? The most expensive, best AI model in the world, you can do that. You can say like, oh, I'm going to use Fable with the ControlUp data, and I'm going to make it get maybe even more complex answers, right? And more drill down and stuff. You can do a lot with this. So for now, I'm also going to share this system prompt in the chat here, and I will ask Doug to share it with the community. And yeah, we're almost at the end of the session, right? So yes, I can do a lot more demonstrations with the MCP has a lot of data points that it can access, and yeah, I do just say like play with it. Even with the free version of Claude, you can connect MCP servers and start playing with it. The only thing is, you will run out of prompts really quickly because you're getting the free version of Claude is also limited on how much input tokens you can send. So inputting the ControlUp system prompt, the ControlUp data, the MCP tools. I've noticed if you're doing something big, it will run out after 2 queries. It will say like, oh, your free tokens have gone. So let's see. I want to build a second brain based on retained customer intelligence data and recommendations on how to move forward with this. Second brain based on customer intelligence data. Yeah, I can you explain it a little bit more, because I can interpret it in a lot of ways. But yeah, I would a recommendation I would have, by the way, is Claude Code is extremely good, and I would put Claude Code in something like Studio, like Visual Studio or Code VS. Or Cursor. Cursor is even more amazing, but it's a paid one. But yeah, connect Claude Code to your coding thing. And then if you want to build stuff yourself and you want to make sure that, for example, the Claude default system prompt isn't being sent and the Claude memory is being sent, and it's something that more people can use, ask Claude to make a Claude chatbot in a new HTML page that you fully control. And then you can say like, okay, you have access to these tools, you have access to this system prompt, and I want you to be this and this, because then it's not sending the context that it's sending here. Because every time I'm sending a message here in the Claude desktop, it is already sending the Claude system prompt, the Claude rules, everything. If I want to have full control, you can just say like, make me a chat window in an HTML page, and I'm full in control with that. And that can deliver some very cool stuff. And then you can also be like, okay, the rest of the HTML page you can use to put stuff, right? A little bit hinting on what I'm working on currently. I actually did this. I made my own chatbot, which then connects to a space where you can put stuff. So yeah, well, hopefully I can talk about that soon more, because we are in the development stage of that. But yeah, a tip that at least I would have a recommendation is use Claude Code to build something where you are fully in control. The other tip I would have on top of that, by the way, if you ever use Claude Code, let Claude Desktop write your prompts for Claude Code. So the question that you had, like, I want to build a second brain, I want to have something where custom intelligence, type that into Claude Desktop and say, like, let's make a project where it's an HTML file, where I'm fully in control, where this is, and it has to do this, this, this. And I want to use Claude Code. It can even give you a little guide on how to set up Claude Code in your own IDE. And then having Claude Desktop write the correct prompts for Claude Code is the best way of doing it. It saves tokens and it makes it way more precise. Humans aren't that good in prompting, to be honest. We usually do one question because we already have a lot of context in our mind. AI doesn't have that. So having one AI help you write the correct prompt for the coding AI is really, really the way, it's best practice and the way to go. So we have like 4 minutes left. Doug, any or anyone else, any more questions?
Chris, that was absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. You taught me a few things, which is really cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. I was thinking, I used to think that the day I saw NVIDIA powered GPUs doing 3D graphics on Citrix was the coolest thing my eyes have ever seen. You know, it's like, wow, we could do that, right? But seeing what you can do with AI and MCP servers and just something that's, you know, it's mind-boggling, right? And you just touched the surface of it. And really, really phenomenal. Really phenomenal.
Yeah,
Insane.
you're correct. This is really just touching the surface of it, because if you connect an AI to data, now you're also in the control on how the way you want to visualize it, right? If you I cannot imagine this because ControlUp has an amazing UI, right? And everyone loves it. But if you don't love the way that we do certain stuff, or you miss something or whatever, if you can just get the AI, the raw data from ControlUp, there's nothing stopping you to say, like, I want to visualize it like this. Make it for me. And it will do it. It's super good. And AI is extremely good at correlating data and finding patterns in data, and I'm noticing in coding, so making stuff. And that's like, you know, being creative. Humans are still way more creative than AI, but like telling it, like, I want to have it visualized in an HTML page where I use these colors and make these type of graphs, and I want to have it clickable and stuff. You can do it in an hour and it will have it. And especially like with stuff like Fable now, it's insane. And you can connect it to our data in this way. So I think for me this was, like you said, this was also an aha moment for me. It was like years ago, the first time someone showed me an API and that I could program that, for example, with something as simple as PowerShell, do an API call to this and to that, and then connect the data in the way that I want. I was like, that sparked something really in my mind. And then this is the second time that the spark has lit in my mind, like, oh, an MCP server, and now I'm in control of what the AI can do, or build my own AI chat window with my own system prompt. Yeah,
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And anything's possible. Just craziness. Hey, Chris, I know you have a hard stop now. So I thank you very much for taking the time. This is absolutely phenomenal. I've been asked multiple times where you'll get the recording. As soon as Zoom sends it to me, I'll get it to clean it up and post it. So check it out for the announcements within ControlUp Community, and then I'll post it online tomorrow, on YouTube and everything. So sound good? Thanks, everybody. Chris, wonderful job. Thank you. Absolutely spot on.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.